Hello students, this is the third part of the Unit 8 and I am going to explain the conquest and control of the Americas, and this chapter is divided into 2 points. The first one is the exploration and conquest, the phase in which the conquerors of Spain conquered the continent of America, and the second one is the governing of the Indias, is the way they administrate the new discovered continent. After the first phase of discovery of the new lands, the Spanish kings started sending conquerors who were in charge of the exploration and the conquest of the newly discovered places. The two main ones took place during the reign of Charles I and were Núñez de Balboa and Magallanes. In the case of the first one, Núñez de Balboa, he was the first one that in Central America crossed the isthmus, el istmo. This is the little piece of earth that separates Atlantic Ocean from the Pacific Ocean. And Núñez de Balboa was the first European one that watched the Pacific Ocean. In honor of him, the tube of Madrid has a station who has its name in the line 9, Núñez de Balboa. The second one is Magallanes. He was Portuguese, but he was working for the Spanish crown, para la corona española. He was in charge of the ships that were rounding the earth. After 2 years, they sailed from Seville and they came again to Seville. And it was the first proof in history that the earth was round for real. Let's see now the conquest of Americas. That was a fast process. The conquest of a big part of the whole continent took place in just 25 years. And you could think that it came easily, but the continent of America was inhabited already by the Native American people. And the Spanish people, the Spanish conquerors, were just a few soldiers, and they fought against the people living there, and they got the miracle of conquering all those places. We are going to see the case of the conquerors, Hernán Cortés, the first, the second, Francisco Pizarro, and third, some minor conquerors that explored some lands of America and brought them to the Spanish crown. So the first conqueror, Hernán Cortés, he was able to conquer the Aztec Empire, which is in the present day of Mexico. He was able to do that just with 11 ships and little more than 500 soldiers. It was possible due to the support or the alliance of Hernán Cortés with the rival tribes of the Aztec governors. The capital was Tenochtitlan, and it was taken by Hernán Cortés and the king Moctezuma too, who was made prisoner in 1521, and it was the beginning of the Spanish dominion of the Aztec Empire. The second case is the one of Francisco Pizarro, who conquered the Inca Empire. This is in the present-day country of Peru, more or less here, in the area which is painted in brown. And despite Francisco Pizarro troops were outnumbered, they had much less soldiers than their enemies, but given that they used modern weapons, fire weapons mainly, and cavalry, caballería, something that Native Americans didn't know, horses, and it threatened them very much, les asustó muchísimo. They, Francisco Pizarro and his soldiers, as Francisco Pizarro did, they took advantage of the rivalry, rivalidad between the king Atahualpa and his own brother, Uscar or Huáscar. And after a few years of fighting, the Spanish conquered and took control of Cuzco, the capital of the Inca Empire, in 1531. It was the beginning of the dominion too of the Spanish crown at those lands. But it didn't finish here. Other Spanish conquerors incorporated other lands of America to the Spanish crown. It was the case of conquerors such as Alonso de Ojeda, Ponce de León, Álvar Núñez, Orellana, and they explored the south of North America, and they founded places that still have Spanish names as Florida, California, and some other places. Texas too. Some other explored the river Amazonas, they gave name to the present-day country Venezuela, and out from America, they conquered some group of islands called today Philippines, in honor to the son of the king of those days, Charles I, Philip II. Answering to the question that or how or why did the Spanish defeat the American empires, we have to take into account that the Spanish soldiers and conquerors were just few in comparison with the millions of people that formed the American empires. And one of the main explanations is that given that Spanish came riding in horsebacks, an animal that the Americans didn't know, those Spanish were considered and they were believed to be gods, and it threatened very much the American native people. The first thing we need to focus on is how the native population dropped from being 32 million in 1520 to just 5 million in a question of less than 30 years. The main cause is not that they were forced to do forced labor, trabajo forzoso, but that the most natives died from diseases. Murieron por enfermedades. Diseases that were taken or brought by the Europeans, mainly the Spanish in this case, with illnesses such as smallpox, which is viruela, measles, which is sarampion, the bubonic plague, that was the one that causes the Black Death in Europe long ago, and influenza, which is the Spanish crown, after having given the first step of exploration and conquest of the newly discovered territories, it was now the time of the administration, the organization, the administration of those new territories, which is the governing, how did govern the Indias, the Americas. The first thing is that the Council of the Indias, a kind of ministry, una especie de ministerio, Consejo de Indias, was responsible for the issues, for the matters, for the affairs of the new territories. Some important ideas about the governing of the Indias are related with law and related with administration. Related with law, I have to say that the Council of Indias, el Consejo de Indias, was the one that wrote the law of the India's matters and affairs, but they were written from Castilla. Another thing is that those laws considered the native American people equal, free subjects, súbditos libres, at the same condition equally that the peninsular ones, as the Spanish ones in the peninsula. According or relating to the administration, the territory was divided into two parts, as you can see here in the map. The blue region was founded as the province called Viceroy, Vicereinato of Mexico, and the one in the south was the Viceroy of Peru. And the person in charge of the viceroyalty, that kind of province, and he was the representative of the king, was the viceroy, because the kings of Spain never went to America.